All right, welcome everybody. We're here at SID Serverless or the Serverless Meetup, or whichever way you want to call it. So welcome, my name's Peter Hansons. I'm an AWS Serverless hero, and I've been organizing this meetup for a good couple of years now, and it's been a lot of fun. We have two awesome speakers tonight. On this lovely evening here in Sydney in extended lockdown. So to celebrate another week of what has been quite an amazing lockdown, we have a really awesome lineup of serverless speakers tonight. Got to look on the bright side of everything, don't we? But we're online tonight, as mentioned. We'll look to get back into in-person meetups as soon as possible once everything sort of clears up again. But it's just great to be able to continue the meetup series in some form of another. So really great to be with you tonight. We can see all the comments coming through on YouTube. So if you've got any questions for any of our speakers, you can shoot them through there. And you know, the best questions, I guess, we'll bring them up on the actual on screen, and we'll ask the presenters at the end of their talk to and try to make the meetup as interactive as we possibly can online. So hopefully that all works out quite well. So first up, we've got Jesus Nunez. He's the director and founder of Orinoco Solutions. He's going to be talking about something called SaaS Boost. Now, there's lots of AWS open source projects around, but this one's pretty cool. It's like AWS reference environment to bootstrap SaaS applications in the cloud. So I think it's really great to sort of go through all of these sorts of various use cases that are out there, and get a bit of a feel for how I guess consultancies are kind of able to rapidly deploy into client sites, leveraging some of these tool sets and things like that. So to become that famed 10x developer or whatever. So that's really cool. I think Jesus runs his own consultancy, seasoned technologist with over 20 years experience, lots of financial services and government sector. So really excited to have Jesus presenting today. So I'll add him to the stream. Hey Jesus, how's it going, mate?
Hi Peter, how are you?
Very good. Well, I think you've got a really awesome presentation to take us through today. So I'm going to disappear shortly and let you take it away. But it's your first time speaking at Sydney Serverless. So that's really cool. It's great to have a, fresh blood, if you will. So yeah, awesome. Take it away, mate, and enjoy.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. Well, thanks very much, Peter, for giving me the opportunity to present in this edition of the Sydney Serverless Meetup. As Peter mentioned before, today I'm going to be presenting AWS SaaS Boost. It's an open source project that simplifies the SaaS adoption model in AWS. Before I start, a little bit about myself. I'm the director and founder of Orinoco Solutions. It's a consultancy company specialized in helping organizations with AWS cloud implementations, especially around cloud-native development, CI/CD, and infrastructure as code. I've been living and working in Sydney for the past 17 years, developing software solutions for startups, corporate, and government organizations. I'm a true advocate of serverless architecture. Well, without further ado, let's get started. So, well, we briefly mentioned what is AWS SaaS Boost, but let's look at the official definition from AWS. is a ready-to-use open source reference environment that allows you to take your existing applications and drop them into a fully managed multi-tenant environment that leverages AWS best practices. So let's unpack that a little bit. So what it basically is, well, it is an open source. But so what do you do with that? You take that source code, and it has a lot of components and installers for you to deploy the fundamental moving parts of the infrastructure required to have a SaaS type application running in AWS in a matter of a couple of hours. Actually, we may start an installation now. It takes like 20 minutes. Let's see if we can reach the time before it's 6. Probably not. But anyway, the one of the important things to understand with this concept, it is that it's targeting ISVs, independent software developers that have already an application running, and they have a customer base, but they run it in the classical way where they deploy the application on-prem of each client. They may have a license agreement or subscription, or something similar. Now, this traditional model, as you know, doesn't scale rapidly. It doesn't scale globally. So these ISV organizations are looking for a quick solution that take them to the cloud, so for them to be able to scale rapidly. So this is where AWS, after looking at many organizations having similar problems, they decided, okay, what about if we compile all these learnings and wrap it in an open source so everyone can make use of it and have advantage. So that's basically what AWS SaaS Boost is. So let's continue with this. Okay, so in this diagram, you can see the main moving parts involved in the installation of SaaS Boost. And as you can see, it's pretty clear. It's a step-by-step. We can. So the first step is to bootstrap your local environment with the right tooling. Check out the code. Start the provisioning process. Then configuring the application you wanna deploy. So this configuration is basically, well, how much capacity you want to assign in terms of CPUs, in terms of scalability and other requirements. So after you do that, you should be able to then deploy your application. But before you do that, your application should be packaged in a Docker image, deployed in an ECR repository, then for AWS Boost to pull this image and deploy it in the infrastructure. All this documentation is available in the actual project. So this is a GitHub project. As I mentioned before, is open source. It's open for anyone interested in using it, and you can actually contribute as it is an open source. So here we are in the getting started document, and it will take you step by step for all the things that you need to do to deploy SaaS Boost. This is the same diagram I was showing before. In terms of tooling, which is the first step. So SaaS Boost is written in Java, okay? And the architecture behind that is serverless. It's actually the first time I see Java with a serverless architecture, which is good. Hopefully, cold starts and all that has improved in the past years. And it uses Node because SaaS Boost comes with an administration website, which is written in React. Okay, so once we have the tooling in place, we can start then the provisioning. I'm gonna show you quickly what the provisioning will look like. As I mentioned before, it's going to take some time, so we probably won't be able to see the whole process. But I already have installed one of these environments. So let's clear that up. And all we need to do is, so this is the actual project. I'm going to issue this installer. So when I click install, this process will actually build an installer that is based on Java. So that's why it's building up in using Maven. Usually it takes longer, but I have already something compiled there. So that should come up soon. Just wait for a bit. So yeah, as I mentioned before, tooling is important. So I already had Java installed, AWS CLI, and a couple of other things. You just need to follow the instructions in GitHub. So in here, we have a few options to choose from. We're going to choose the first one, which is install a new environment. So we just click one. It's asking us for some local directory to keep some configuration. Select default. And let's create another, because I have already a production one. Let's say production 2. I provide my email address. It is asking me if I want to set up a domain name. Not a domain name, sorry, a Route 53 entry. Not for this example, but you could if you have one already. Now it's asking me if I want to install the metrics and analytics. So that's a pretty cool tool from SaaS Boost, where it sets a classical data ingestion architecture when you have a Kinesis stream to read data, and then it uses, I believe, is Athena to store the data, and then you can use that. You can read the data using QuickSight or any other reporting tool. For the person, for this exercise, we're not going to set up this because it will incur more costs. So we say no. This option is for Windows installations. Systems that will require that they rely on the file system to have some sort of storage. So we say no. And then we say yes to install. Yeah, so this process is going to take around 20-25 minutes. I've done it a couple of times. And it's basically spinning up everything. So we're not going to wait for this. We come back to the presentation. What's time I have? Right. So yeah, we are in this step basically. After that is finished, so we can package. Well, we need to configure the application and then package and deploy. While that is happening, we can talk a little bit of the deployment strategy, at least for this version of SaaS Boost. This version of SaaS Boost was made available only 2 months ago. I think it was mid-May. So it's still really, really fresh. I've seen some blogs and some videos from AWS people talking that they have in the roadmap other implementations. However, the initial one, it looks like this. Now, on the left-hand side, this basically represents the classical traditional way of deploying software solutions in an on-prem infrastructure, where each customer will run its own version of the application with its own management, configuration, and deployment. So it will vary slightly from customer to customer, which is convenient if you want to tailor the experience for a particular customer, but it has a limitation that you wouldn't be able to scale up as quickly and as big as you want. So basically, you are not able to go into the SaaS model or cloud-based SaaS model. So this is one of the main things that AWS SaaS Boost tries to address is to provide a unified experience across all customers. So each customer then is named as a tenant. So it has the concept of a multi-tenant. So you will have a single view as an ISV of all the tenants that are currently using your application. So from the management point of view, configuration and deployment is the same procedure. You may be able to customize certain things, but but all tenants will enjoy the same practices. So it's pretty consistent. With that, the ability to scale up big. This is another view of how the applications are deployed. Now, I mentioned that it is multi-tenant because you can have a single view of all your tenants in the same installation. However, each tenant is basically deployed in its own environment. And when I say environment, in this case, it's a VPC with its own networking configuration, its own database. From the capacity point of view, they will run in separate ECS clusters, in this case, Fargate clusters. That is the initial model that AWS SaaS Boost is tackling, which is pretty common, especially with vendors that where the software solution is of a reasonable size, and it will require a reasonable amount of resources to run the application. So that's why they split it in this way. From the security point of view, it's pretty convenient as well. Now, this is what they call the silo model. There are other models, like the pool model, where the same infrastructure can run different tenants. Okay, I'm really keen on to see that one coming, because there's a lot of cases where your tenants are not going to consume that much resources. They may be going to suppose you are offering reporting service for analytics, and all you're exposing is some data for each client. So in that case, the pool model will work better, and you can manage the customers in a more efficient way. But that's not in place now. So this is the current solution. The other characteristic of this solution is that it allows you to deploy a container image per tenant. So it's not designed for complex applications when you may have different services running in the same environment. So it's just a single image that runs in a scalable mode. So I think it's in the roadmap as well to allow for more complex systems. Now, the interesting things about this open source is that it comes with two ways of extend the current model, and you can basically choose two adoption models. You can choose the sort of a quick path model, where you take exactly what AWS Boost offers and deploy that as is, so without much changing in the core system. Or you can take the fork and extend model, where you basically fork the project, add your extensions, and implement your own features. And with that, the possibility to merge back into the main stream of the project. So that will depend on the complexity of the system, of course. Gonna continue here. Okay. This one basically portrays the deployment model. So as I mentioned before, the application is to be packaged in a Docker image, which will need to be deployed in an ECR repository. Every time an image is deployed or pushed to this repo, there is it basically spins up a pipeline execution because it's listening to an S3 bucket event, kick off the build, and then deploy. So that happens all automatically. Let's have a quick look to see how the installation is going. Come back here. Yep, still going. Is provisioning stuff. All the provisioning is done with the CloudFormation templates. It's all in the source code. Oh, we have 5 minutes left, so I better speed up a bit if these things come back. This is a high-level view of the services provided by SaaS Boost. So as I mentioned before, you have the administration application. It's a web interface that basically interact with the API gateway endpoints. And then, so you can onboard new tenants, you can have access to metrics, user management. This user management is admin user management. It's not the customer. It's not the customer's users if they have some. So just to be clear on that. Settings, which is a configuration, your tenants, and other services. So this is how the onboarding flow happens. Either an administrator of the SaaS Boost starts the process that provisions the tenant. This provisioning means basically it creates the VPC with everything needed and the database. Or you can have a sign-up page that will make the call to the onboarding APIs and start the process in an automated way. Before the questions, I'm just going to show you quickly. I know I'm running out of time. So this is a console of an existing installation I have here. So this is basically what the ISV administrator will have access to. So if we go to the summary here, so we can see how many tenants, the environment I'm running. So I can provision different environments, as you saw when I was installing before, and some useful links to have a look to the health of the system. In onboarding, you will see onboarding request. So this request was already fulfilled, and we have a tenant deployed. So if we look at this tenant, so this tenant I deployed here was with a sample application that is available in the source code as well. You can produce an application and deploy. Like, it's pretty straightforward. A couple of minutes ago, I clicked this and didn't work. Let's see if it works now. Oh, no. Something went wrong with the installation. but I guess you have the feeling of what this solution can give you. To recap, is an open source that is able to provision a full infrastructure for SaaS type of applications that will speed up the installation process for many ISVs. If you have any questions, please put it on the chat. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. Virtual round of applause to you, Jesus. Thanks, really great presentation. So I guess just to recap, SaaS Boost is, I guess, kind of, it provisions the structure around like a SaaS application. So it's handling sort of user provisioning, admin panel, a bit like sort of like cPanel or something like that for websites. Could be considered as potentially an analogy. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, it's similar. Now, I didn't have time to go into all the capabilities, but also comes with billing integration with Stripe out of the box. So all you need to do is put your Stripe key, and then you are set. And every time you onboard a new customer, it comes in a subscription. It can be attached to a subscription that you have in Stripe, and all happens immediately. What other things? Well, you have the metrics, analytics, like a lot of the typical things you need to have around when you run a SaaS application, a SaaS type application.
Yeah, it literally sounds like it's, solving some serious problems, like a lot of the problems that you would, or the challenges, the things that you'd need to build if you're building this from scratch. You're just kind of getting it out of the box for free. The only thing is, it's all written in Java. Come on, couldn't they have written it in, Node.js or Python? No, I think it's a wonderful solution regardless. Hello, Tam asked the question: can the same level of perceived isolation be achieved using Kubernetes, if you will? I guess referring to like namespacing and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I believe so. Like again, this is a very first version of the solution, and it's pretty vanilla. It's just a container that you drop there. But I can imagine that it will be useful if you can deploy a full Kubernetes cluster, like if you have something running already. Now, I guess because it's targeting sort of classic and traditional business, they may not have this technology, which is already advanced. So that's my guess. But it doesn't mean that that's the only use case. Like if you were to ramp up a brand new SaaS implementation, well, and then you want to have Kubernetes or even a serverless, I would push more for the serverless style of things. Why not?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, Kubernetes involves a fair bit of management in of itself. And hey, we're a serverless meetup, so Fargate totally fits the bill. Stefano Picozzi, I think is probably a better pronunciation, has asked, does SaaS Boost configure all the CloudFront stuff to, e.g. different endpoints for tenants and stuff like that?
Yes, it does. Like the I mean, it's not sharing anymore. The so when we had a look to the web app, that was actually pointing to CloudFront, a CloudFront pointing to the whole thing. So it's all out of the box. Now, in terms of for the customer itself, I would have thought that you need to do it yourself. Yeah, I don't think that's out of the box. It configures a Route 53 entry, but not CloudFront.
Lastly, there's a couple more questions, but we got to wrap up because we've got our second speaker needing to start shortly. due to family commitments, which is totally fair enough in this day and age. Rich Buggy, a regular speaker at the Meetup. He's got a couple of questions. He's asked, what is the delay between someone signing up and a new tenant being ready to use, as well as can it provision tenants into their own account? So it seemed like different tenants would get deployed into separate VPCs with their own Fargate or ECS clusters.
Yeah.
Do you specify accounts as well?
Yeah, the provisioning takes, I guess it depends on the size of application, but at least with the sample application, it took like less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so just sign up. Well, I mean, this is from the admin panel, but then if you sign up, it will be similar. Now, the second question is tenant into their own accounts, provision tenants to their own accounts. Is that if the... No, I don't understand that question.
Yeah, I guess, like if you've got a multi-account strategy and you've got like a
or
something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you will need to spin up. That's actually a good question. It might be possible.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe with stack sets and that sort of jazz, but yeah, cool. But yeah, probably I think you might need to do a few PRs, maybe fork the project and do a few PRs. So yeah, anyway, I reckon perhaps you and Rich can take that one offline. But
Sure.
thanks so much, Jesus. Really appreciate your time tonight. That was a wonderful talk, and I think it's judging by the quality of the questions coming through, I think it was very well received. So thanks so much.
Excellent. Thanks, Peter.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Well, up next we have Brad. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Thanks for joining us this evening. Brad McCoy is the head of cloud engineering at Muller. He's going to take us through contributing to the CNCF serverless security white paper. Whenever I hear CNCF, I'm like, Kubernetes. And it sounds like you're quite a Kubernetes expert. Obviously, there is a lot of serverless in the Kubernetes space. I guess if you're not the person actually managing the Kubernetes cluster, it perhaps comes across as a similar experience as being, serverless in the way that perhaps, some of the, cloud providers provide. So, and in certain organizations that works quite well and the like. So very interested to hear your talk tonight, especially around serverless security, because I know it's always a hot topic. So I might be quiet and let you take the floor. Thanks so much, Brad.
All right, and thanks, Jesus, for the last presentation. It was really good. So yeah, today we'll be talking about the serverless security white paper. It's an initiative from the CNCF. So really, it's not all going to be about security. We'll take sort of a deeper dive into what serverless options are available in this sort of new world. Sort of compare them to normal cloud provider ones as well. So as mentioned, I'm the head of cloud engineering for Muller. Been working with serverless for probably 4 years now, like quite a while. Started off doing a bit of Azure functions and then starting to work really heavy with AWS, with Lambda and all the sort of good, the DynamoDB, SQS, like all the good services in there. And then I've been transitioning into more Kubernetes stack these days. So today we'll go over a little bit of a CNCF overview. We'll look at some of the landscape. There's new serverless frameworks and applications sort of spinning up every day. So it's really, really cool to see the competition in the market these days. We'll go a little bit over the white paper. So even if security is not of interest to you, it still really lets you dive deep into actually, what this serverless in cloud native looks like. So even if you're not interested in doing the security piece, it's still very, very interesting to see aspects that you probably don't even think about in serverless. And then we'll briefly talk about how you can get started contributing to this white paper if you want to, or there's other initiatives there as well. So if you're looking to contribute into open source and haven't before, this could be good for you as well to see how to get your foot in the door there. And then we'll go over a little bit of a Q&A session as well, like we just did. So let's check out the landscape. So this is the CNCF landscape. Pretty scary, if it's the first time you've seen it. But yeah, essentially the big ones that you probably will know about is Kubernetes, Argo CD, the stuff coming up all the time. gRPC you'll probably know about. And yeah, these are just all open sources. So you can be graduated, you can be incubating as well. And then there's a lot of new projects incubating at the moment as well, which is really cool, like Buildpacks.io. It's really changing how things are happening. And then if you go here, and so this is the landscape.cncf.io. If we look at the serverless, so these are, I don't know if it'd be interesting to see if anyone's used these before or heard about them. So some of the more common ones and older ones, OpenFaaS. This is quite a cool project. So that allows you to run your functions as a service in Kubernetes. So it has a really cool management portal. Essentially, you're deploying them as Docker containers. You can hook them up to Kafka queues and things like that, which is super cool. You have Knative, which is it's another baby of Google. OpenWhisk as well is and Fizzin, they're quite sort of older ones, but still good. Just you probably would have heard of those. And then we're starting to see some new ones up here as well, like Dapper is quite cool. So if you ever do want to check out different types of frameworks, so if you're using Lambda at the moment as your functions, if that's getting a little bit boring, you want to in your own time you might like to play around with serverless, that would some cool ones to play with would be probably OpenFaaS to start off with. There's a new one called Nitric that just came out as well, which I really like. So I think this came out a couple of weeks ago. So they have really cool concepts like polyglot by design. So you can use sort of any language you want and make calls to other functions as well. So yeah, that's quite a cool one. So yeah, if you ever want to see the stuff, you just go to the landscape and then you can see it there. So this is what the CNCF structure looks like. So today we'll talk briefly about the middle part here. So there's something called the Technical Oversight Committee. So they really control new projects coming in and being incubated. They oversee. It used to be called Special Interest Groups or SIG. So the one I'm talking about today is SIG Security. Now they've renamed it to a TAG, which is a Technical Advisory Group. So there's probably, if you're ever interested in the open source, committing to CNCF, they have a Slack channel, and you can choose things that you're interested in, such as storage, networking. There's the serverless sort of one that's a spin-off of security. That's one that I follow. I like to do the GitOps one as well. But if you log into Slack and you're interested, there's many there that you can see. So that's an example of a tag. And yeah, this is, I use dark mode, so I couldn't get a proper picture, but this is the one that we talk about today, is the CNCF Security Technical Advisory Group. So that's the icon for it. And then everything's done in GitHub. So even if security doesn't really interest you that much, like one thing that I've learned from contributing with open source is that you learn so many best practices from other people in other businesses. So let's say, for example, if you've been in a company for 5 years, they probably do the same stuff like every day. So it's really good to start seeing how other people, do asynchronous communication. They talk different. They do a lot of the way they use Git is different as well, and they just use some really good practices. So even there you can, and this is for all of the tags. So you can come into the CNCF as the parent group, so they have all of their Git repositories in here, and there's a lot of issues. So you can see here there's like good first issue. That's a really good tag to do if you want to first get started or help wanted, and you can just come in here and see what interests you. So because the scope is serverless, there are things that come up in the serverless world as well. And yeah, so it's something to look out for if you're interested. If you are, let me know and I can sort of point you in the right direction for doing that. But essentially we have a APAC meeting every 2 weeks. So we have it at lunchtime on Tuesdays at 12. And then we talk about these issues and go over what we're doing in the white paper and just have a good sort of technical discussion around that. So yeah, this is just talking about the Git repo, and this is the Slack channel as well. If most people probably use Slack here, it's free to sign up. So you just go to slack.cncf.io and then you'll see this whole new world pop up, full of real interesting stuff that you can follow and sign up to channels that you're interested in. So the ones that I'm in, one of the ones I'm in at the moment is the tag security serverless. And that was meant to be another one, sorry. I think it's just tag security. And then you'll start seeing the chat and you can just introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm interested in serverless. I love it. I would like to either, look at what you're up to or contribute as well. And this is the APAC meeting that I was talking about as well. All of the details are in GitHub. So if you go into the README, you'll see Zoom links, you'll see meeting cadence. It's got really good documentation. So this is the APAC bi-weekly, which most of you will be in the APAC time zone. You can add it to your calendar by clicking on the calendar here. And then if you are interested in contributing, you can also do a pull request to this repository, and then that will sort of make you visible in some of the issues as well. So that's that one. And then if we look at the one that, so this is the white paper that, so this is just initially started. So the CNCF has really cool white papers. We've just done one on supply chain recently. They presented at the KubeCon as well. So really cool stuff to get into. You can see the scope is starting to generate here. So you can add your name as a contributor here if you want to contribute to the document. And then we're starting to shape what the context of this will be. So that was the other channel that I was talking about there, is the serverless security white paper. All of the details are in this document as well, which I'll share after as well. And then, so some of the things that are the topics so far will be, we'll talk about the lack of visibility in the public cloud and underlying layers. So that could be example like Firecracker and AWS. How do we know what's going on under that? That'll dig a little bit deeper into there. We'll look at private serverless security threats. It's a lot of stuff that we probably think that using IAM roles and giving least privilege is we're doing good security, but if you really take a deep dive into here, it'll make you really think about security a little bit more. Giving the easy things we do is give the least privilege and stuff, but this really gets you thinking about how you can improve your security and really mature your mindset of what security is. So yeah, you can see it's quite comprehensive documentation. If you want to contribute, you can choose one of these that interests you as well, and then you can start writing about it. So yeah, really cool stuff. And that's really what I wanted to show today. Just that, there is if you want to, even if you wanted to do innovation for 1 hour a week, on a Friday, you could do like a DevOps dojo or something, and then you could have 1 hour of your time a week to contribute to open source, and this will really, keep you up to date with innovation and sort of thinking ahead as well. I mean, some of the serverless functions in Kubernetes don't make sense. Like if you're a small company, you wouldn't want to be running big clusters and paying for that when you could just run a serverless like Lambda that you pay for by the second. So it doesn't fit everyone, but it's also really cool to see this new world as well. So that's really what I wanted to show today. Just we're always looking for people to contribute. So if you do want to contribute, let me know, and I can help you out there. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I can answer them. Can't hear you. Sorry, Peter. You're on mute.
Right. Yes, I occasionally do that. Yeah. So thanks so much for that talk. I think that was really cool to get a bit of a glimpse into the CNCF ecosystem. What I'm getting from your talk is that it's a really good opportunity. Oh,
Sorry, I'm stopping. Yeah.
I'll stop share. What I'm getting from your talk tonight is that I guess getting involved in the CNCF, especially the serverless security channels, is an opportunity to really get a deeper understanding of security and sort of contribute some thoughts and really it's a lot to do with sort of I guess getting a deeper understanding and appreciation of security, I guess at a lower level than I guess what's presented to us through our sort of cloud providers, through IAM and things like that. Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks really cool. I mean, a lot of folks come to serverless because of the ease of use of getting up and running really quickly and stuff like that. But I guess for the really super passionate folks, I think there's a lot of benefit in trying to understand the landscape at a deep level. So really appreciate you taking the time out tonight to let us know about that, and also that like the benefits of CNCF if you do actually need to go multi-cloud or have an on-prem sort of story as well. So
and there's some new things coming up, like, well, not so much new, but you can put like Azure functions inside that wrapper as well, so you can actually deploy your Azure functions to AWS inside Kubernetes, which is really cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
yeah.
there's it's amazing. Like I guess we're seeing a little bit of that cross cloud. You know, now the
Playing
cloud
around.
is it's fascinating. So honestly, yeah, thanks so much. It's great to see what else is out there in the ecosystem. It's definitely more than just Lambda or Azure Functions or Google Cloud Functions or something like that, and
Yeah.
the various NoSQL databases that they offer. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, you can only do that for so many years, and then you sort of start getting bored and you want to do something else. So
Yeah,
that would be sort of the next step if people got bored.
start building your own cloud in your basement.
Yeah. And the Raspberry Pi. Yeah.
Yeah. If this lockdown continues much longer, I think it's going to happen.
You can host the serverless days on your own little private cloud.
That's it. Perfect. Well, thanks once again, Brad. We might leave it there, folks. It's been wonderful to have Jesus and Brad join us tonight. Feel free to reach out to me. My email is peter@cloudshuttle.com.au if you'd like to speak at a future Sydney Serverless Meetup. I think probably the next one, let's face it, it's probably going to be online again as well. So, yeah, just reach out if you're interested in speaking. So thanks once again. Stay safe and see you next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.